I think Elon Musk is a rock star. The tofu crowd is mad, but when you trim fat, pigs squeal. That's just the way the world works. That's the law of nature.
Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and we're ranging sideways. Yes, Bitcoin 84,000 to 90,000, really choppy and volatile, and Bitcoin is just bringing that same choppiness and volatility to the rest of the market. Now, I know a lot of you follow people who chart, but I want to tell you something. Money plainly moves markets. And it's all about global liquidity. It is inching higher, but there's been a fall off in the desire for risk assets. And yes, crypto falls within that risk asset category. And this acts on markets with a lag. And it's until the Fed decides to make it clear about the future of their balance sheet, this de-risking is probably going to continue. I'm going to recommend a good follow for you, and that's Dr. Michael J. Howell. He's with Cross Border Capital. He's worked in finance for over 30 years, formerly a research director at Salomon Brothers, and he's developed this concept of global liquidity. And I think everybody should be paying attention to this first and foremost before they do any sort of charting whatsoever. It was an historic day because the US now has a reserve capitalized by Bitcoin. Currently, it's full of BTC that was seized. So no tax dollars were used to acquire it. It has about 200,000 Bitcoin in it, which is equal to about 20 billion. And these seized assets will be the first step to grow this reserve, and then they're going to see how to go forward. I think there is really an open window to make acquisitions here. Listen to Scott Bessent. He gives some color to the current situation.
Bitcoin, the reserve. Supposedly there was disappointment that we're not going to be buying Bitcoin outright using taxpayer dollars. But if we can do it in a revenue neutral way, we would. Number one, were you a proponent for the reserve? And two, is there a way to buy Bitcoin, not just acquire it through, I don't know, however we've gotten these $17 billion worth at this point?
Yeah, so Joe, I am a big proponent of the U.S. taking the worldwide lead in crypto. I think we have to bring it onshore and they use our best practices and regulation. I think that the Bitcoin reserve, before you can accumulate it, you have to stop selling it. So what we have now is from a seized asset pool, and I wasn't there when it happened, but I believe what happened was about 500 million of Bitcoin was seized, half of it was sold, and what we have now that, say it's over 10 billion, 10, 12 billion, that's all through appreciation. So the first thing to do is to stop the selling. So we are going to, after the victims are paid and all of that, any seized assets will go into this reserve, and then we'll see what the way forward is for more acquisitions for the reserves. And we're starting with Bitcoin, but it's an overall crypto reserve.
Right. So how do you think about buying, though? And how should taxpayers think about that? Because effectively we'll be levering ourselves to some degree, given that we don't have a surplus of money right now to make these investments.
Yeah, so that's why the first step is to stop selling, and then we're going to put a plan in place from there. So we're having this crypto summit. I'm going back to Washington this afternoon, and then we'll talk about the way forward.
You can see the U.S. government doesn't have only Bitcoin. It also has in those seized assets Ethereum, USD Tether, wrapped Bitcoin, BNB, USDC, wrapped Ethereum, DAI, Uni, TRX, Link, Render, Sand, Band, Aave, FTT. Wow, still quite a bit of FTT. So I think you're probably going to see all of these digital assets roll into what is called the stockpile. In that executive order, this US stockpile is for the non-Bitcoin assets. And if I was on the strategy team at Ripple, wink, wink, I would propose that there'd be an ongoing percentage of its monthly XRP release to the US stockpile, using the escrow to showcase the XRP ledger's technology for its ability to be an automatic, secure, traceable, tamper-resistant, irreversible distribution mechanism. Yes, Brad Garlinghouse, we should be doing it every month and doing it for free. And why, as an XRP holder, would I want to do this? Well, I think getting all the supply out into the wild is important. You want to allow the digital asset XRP true price discovery. And I don't think we want to be dealing with this inflationary pressure every month, especially when $1 billion comes out and 700 million go back in. That just extends this $1 billion release every month out further and further. And as an XRP holder, you also want to stay on top of what new developments are coming. We've got this permissioned domains, and it may not make sense. So let me just tell you really easy of how you might think about this. You've got companies and banks that want to make their own club on the blockchain. So they will be able to set the rules and decide who's allowed in. They might say, show us your ID badge, which would be your credentials. And that would be to make sure that you're allowed in. But it doesn't tell everyone your secrets, like your name and address. So it's a way to handle privacy, but also stay compliant. A very important component for institutional investors. I've got a really great clip that I found for you. It had fewer than 100 views, and it's just a couple of months old. This is Fiona Murray. She is the Asia Pacific Director and based out of Singapore. She emphasizes that Ripple has skin in the game, underscoring their commitment to success and high stakes involved, ensuring nothing goes wrong. She's talking about custody. And you're going to hear her mention Futureverse, which is the root network. And I keep telling you, look there, because these projects like Auto Blockchain and Doppler Finance, they've got a lot going on.
There's a company called Futureverse. They are an AI and Metaverse company. They're building and bridging ecosystems. They're doing some really cool stuff. They're building on the XRP ledger, and separately, they needed to find a custody solution because they got it from day one that what they wanted to do was have the option to safely store incoming crypto from their customers before minting it on their own auto blockchain. So what they looked for and found in Ripple at that time was an institution with skin in the game. Skin in the game meaning we have been committed to developing on-chain for over 10 years now. We have significant digital assets ourselves that we manage, so we know the importance of governance and what can go wrong. We think about it every moment of every day. And finally, we're also in this space where we're a regulated organization that's our regulated activity and our licenses around the world mean that we can't afford for anything to go wrong. So those are the challenges that we see, and having skin in the game and a like-minded organization to work with become increasingly important.
And to take you out on this video are my two co-founders of Onami Press, and that is Moonchaser on the left and Santiago Valles on the right. And we're talking about XDFI, the trading protocol, which is decentralized, compliant, and boy, I'll tell you, really very cool, built on Flare. So until next time, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.
So I'm really excited today. Moonchaser has volunteered to be our guinea pig for walking through the XDFI protocol and doing an explainer video in detail. There's been a lot of great questions from the community on why we did things a certain way and what it means. So I'm hoping today we can navigate through that and help everyone understand what we're trying to achieve. Most of our devs are ex-Wall Street, so they're responsible for a lot of the trading engines, database and network management, order book management, best price seeking algorithms. These are the kind of activities that our engineers used to perform for firms like Fidelity, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs. So, you know, they're very familiar practitioners with kind of the rules and best practices for trade execution. And so they brought a lot of that experience to XDFI, and they wanted to make sure that what we built was enterprise grade and scalable and safe and secure, but it would have the elements of decentralization. That's our main mission in life, is to really use this technology to avoid a lot of the vulnerabilities and market failures of TradFi and really bring it to DeFi. Institutions can only participate if they have a compliant solution. Right now, we can see that the only way institutions are participating is through holding. So you might have ETFs where people hold Bitcoin or XRP or some other asset. And that's not really using the assets as they were intended. That's using the assets to create a financial product. So what we were hoping to do was add a layer of compliance that allows institutions to actually use the technology and have the same assurances that they would if they were going the traditional route. And that's a fairly challenging task, but I think we've started along that path.